Welcome to Principle 9, Perception Stacking, taking control of your brain. Almost every moment of the day, you're making little mini micro evaluations. You're making little decisions that are part conscious, part unconscious, and you're making little evaluations all day long. And these evaluations, if we boil them down, come down to one fundamental idea. Your brain is giving its best guess as to will the next choice, let's call it action X, will it give you more advantages than it will disadvantages? So do the pros outweigh the cons? And you're doing these micro evaluations all day, every day. And very, very often we're not conscious of any of them at all. The beauty of this is that when you become conscious of this process, you can start to adjust and change your micro evaluations to get you to do more of what you want. To put this in context, I'd like you to imagine inside your brain somewhere, you've got a set of weighing scales. And on one side, you've got the pros. And on the other side, you've got the cons. Now, if the pros outweigh the cons, you'll take action. If the cons outweigh the pros, you won't take action. And when we understand this dynamic, it starts to change the way we look at things. So if there is something that you would like to do, something you'd like to start, something that you'd like to follow through with, but up until now you haven't, then up until now you might have said, oh, I'm self-sabotaging. But actually, viewed through the lens of perception stacking and these micro evaluations, we can actually see that it's just a misbalanced, it's a miscontrolled micro evaluation. It's being left to chance rather than you grabbing the reins and actually steering it in the way that you want. I think it'll be helpful to do an example. So let's say you'd love to do some exercise. You'd love to get exercising. You know it's good for you. The whole world knows they should be doing exercise. You know it helps your mind, it helps your body, it's good for your tone, your physique, it's good for your productivity. You see it on social media everywhere. You know it's backed up by research, you know it's backed up by science. But when the alarm goes off in the morning, you keep pressing snooze and rolling over. Now, one might call that self-sabotage. But through the lens of a micro-evaluation, we can actually see something different is at play. If we come back to our weighing scales, we can think you're aware of these pros, but actually there's too many cons. You're just not aware of them yet. So then if you were to ask yourself, okay, what would the pros be? What would the advantages be? What would the benefits be to me of exercising? And then you keep coming up with more and more answers, you start to stack the evaluation in your favor. And then what happens is when you reach enough advantages, you reach a threshold where the balance tips. And the lovely thing about this is when you reach that point, you spontaneously, automatically start to become more engaged. It becomes less of a, oh, I should do that, to, oh, I want to do that. And the reason that happens is because you're now aware of all of the many positives that you'll get out of it. So it's a really, really powerful exercise for changing habits, changing behaviors, and changing actions because you are taking control of these micro evaluations. The important point to note here when you're doing these evaluations is that it needs to be very, very specific because we need to reach a certain number of these benefits or advantages in order to tip the scales, in order for that micro-evaluation to fall the way that you want it to do. So if you're using broad and general answers, you won't get very far, you won't get very many, and they won't be meaningful. But whereas if you get really, really specific, then that allows you to access lots of different benefits, lots of different advantages, and then it tips it in your favor. So rather, in our example, than saying, well, exercise, it will help me get healthy. Doing exercise, yeah, it'll increase my tone. Those are relatively general. If we were to say, how specifically will doing exercise benefit me and give me advantages, and look for specifics, we might get answers like, okay, it means I'll be able to get up at 6 a.m. and complete my workout for 6:30, so I'll be ready for work at 7. It allows me to increase my muscle mass. It allows me to decrease my fat percentage. It allows me to improve my abs tone, and that's something that I'm working towards because I love a six-pack. It'll give me more energy, so I'll have more zazz and energy throughout the day. It'll make me increase my sex drive, so I'll have more energy for my partner, I'll be more engaged, and I'll be feeling more confident in my body because my physique will be better. So when we access the specific benefits, we can start to stack them up and we can create a really powerful driver that gets you to take action. So this principle is all about helping you become conscious of the little micro evaluations that you do every day and steering them in the direction that you want.